stop feeling sorry for yourself. And I'm not just telling you this because I want to tell you this. I'm trying to tell myself that. And I don't know if you've ever realized that when you're trying to tell somebody else something, what you're really trying to do is also just convince yourself. Since it's all just really a reflection of ourselves anyway. Let's make sure this goddamn thing is even on. Good. I spent my entire life feeling sorry for myself and being stuck in that vicious cycle. And it's not enough to just say, don't feel sorry for yourself. There has to be, like, how? How do you stop feeling sorry for yourself? And it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and I think it starts with self-awareness. Being able to catch yourself. Catch the story that you're telling yourself for why you feel like you should continue to be sorry for yourself. Whether it was that you got too much love as a child. And not too much love, but too much coddling, you know? Nobody ever let you do anything on your own. And then that seeps into you. And then how your parents treat you winds up to be the way that you start treating yourself. And I came to this conclusion a while ago that we are both the parent and the child in the same body. And then after a while, our consciousness starts speaking to ourselves the same way that our parents talk to us. And we do it unconsciously, and we don't realize where it's coming from. And our goal, what we're trying to do, is break that cycle. And I had realized, if I want this cycle of life and death to end, I have to show whatever it is that I am making steps in my life to break the cycles that I have created. So I have to start these good habits. And so I start to try to film these videos and try to do these things. And then I get frustrated when they don't go the way that I want them to. And what did I do before? Throughout my entire life, I stopped. And I got mad at myself, and I fell back on some kind of escapism. Something that I could just run to subconsciously, and that's another thing. Your subconscious mind is like this animal that you're trying to train. And if you don't realize that you are training yourself, the ways that you are training yourself are not going to be beneficial to you. And then that vicious cycle is just going to keep going. And then once you have that self-awareness enough to step into yourself, to break that, then you start to make a change, and it's day by day. And as another thing I realized, the results that I am getting today are a result of what I've been doing for my entire life. And when I really wanted to... So this means if I want to be someplace that's better a year from now, I need to be doing that today. And that can't be overwhelming, and it seems like it's overwhelming. And you try to not feel sorry for yourself and not overwhelm yourself because part of you knows that you deserve better. It's almost like we know that we're hurting ourselves in the moment, but we're so used to it. It's just become our character so much. All right, tying this into the other things I've been doing. To that method acting video. These roles that we are playing, we are trying to break character. We are trying to break the character that we have been raised with. Because when we are... This ignorance just gets passed down. It just gets passed down, and then you are inevitably going to receive all of the good and bad that your parents are passing on to you, because they don't know what they are doing, because they don't know how to refine themselves. And once generationally, we can start to break those cycles, then each iteration of generations will start to become more aware and more conscious, if that is not already happening on the back end, which I think that it is as well. So this is what happened. I tried to film the big picture analysis today, and I don't know. You ask yourself, what is it? It's like, did I not plan enough? Did I not prepare enough? Am I just getting too stuck in my own head? And that's what I realized when I was doing stand-up comedy for a little while. You're on stage, you're on a roll, you're doing good, and then you look at yourself, you catch yourself in your mind, and then you become self-conscious, and then you break all the momentum that you had because you're too self-aware. And my self-awareness as a child didn't help how sorry I felt for myself. And I don't know when the tipping point came. It's like and again, I feel like this thing exists where you can be stuck in this uncanny valley of consciousness or self-awareness, where you're self-aware enough to almost exacerbate your problems, but you're not self-aware enough to realize why you shouldn't be, or you're not self-aware enough to find a way out. All right, so how do we do this? What's a practical way to be doing this? What have I been doing? It's almost like meditation, and meditation becomes that metaphor for being on top of yourself. Whenever you catch yourself drifting, don't judge yourself. Just feel that. Feel those emotions and try to ask yourself where that's coming from without judgment. And then once you kind of catch that, you kind of catch the tail of it. And then you catch it faster and faster each time until eventually it just stops happening. And then you've turned over whatever that is. And we're not alone. It's hard to realize that we're not alone. All right. Breaking free for a second. It's hard to not be resentful towards yourself or then eventually towards your parents. Because I think once you get to this level of self-awareness and self-consciousness, you start to see, oh my God, that's where I got that from. That's where I got that from. God damn it. And then you start to get angry. And then once you see that they haven't made any progress in their own lives trying to get out of it, it almost makes you more angry because you're like, I don't want to hear this because this reminds me of exactly how I got to this place. And part of you is telling yourself, if I had only seen this sooner, I would have been able to stop. I wouldn't have been where I'm at now if only I had directed my path a long time ago. But and then you want to get angry, but then that is a pitfall. And you don't want to fall into that because part of being conscious and self-aware is realizing that you're trying to carry on that narrative of something being somebody else's fault. And a lot of where I think feeling sorry for ourselves comes from is this feeling that it's our fault, that we were the problem to begin with. And then coming back to that, like the relationship of the parent and the child in the same body. If you have a parent that's resentful for the child just for existing because it screwed up the path that it was on because for whatever reasons that it ended up that way, then you are going to adopt that relationship with yourself. And then your self-talk is going to reflect that. And trying to find a way to break that self-talk is what this is about, is breaking these cycles. And if I want to bring it back to this whole metaphysical thing, ultimately breaking the cycle of life and death and not having to come back here and learn that. I really wanted to just kind of turn the camera on and run with it. I didn't really have much of an idea, but I knew that, so this is what happens. I like to walk a lot. I've always walked a lot as a kid. It allows me to talk to myself. I don't listen to music because I like to be alone with my own thoughts. And that's another way to, as soon as you catch yourself beating yourself up in your head, you kind of redirect it. And you're like, listen, you've been down this path before, Matthew. You know how this ends. You have to start stepping into yourself in a loving way that is not continuing to propagate this cycle of feeling sorry for yourself. So yeah, I was trying to film the video, I got frustrated, so I decided to go for a walk. And I'm thinking to myself, what did you start all this for anyway? And come back to metaphysically, what did we start life for at all? As a higher being, why did we create ourselves? To live, to incarnate, to learn. And why I'm doing this and talking to myself in a goddamn camera is because I want to be able to shorten the journey that people have to take to realize they are all that they need. They need nothing to be happy. And I have always been much more in the moment when I am just talking, when I'm just going. Because I've been, I don't know about always, but I've been better and good at having those conversations, which is why the metaphysical analysis videos changed so much for me, looking at an over-scripted, for me looking at this just over-scripted, not nonsense, but just over-explaining, and then the videos get too long, and then I get back into the cycle of feeling frustrated and feeling like I'm stuck in the same cycle that I've always been in for my entire life. And then what am I to do to fix that? How do I fix that? So I haven't been smoking weed. I'm doing no-fap now. I'm 6 days in. And what better way to let you know that you're not alone than by telling you about how I'm not jerking off right now. You're welcome. Some goddamn comic relief. Where's the lid to this water bottle? Getting that, just getting that frustration and getting that energy back, because it's done a lot for me before. And feeling sorry for myself and then having frustration come for that then kind of became my fuel to start making steps in the right direction. I have a video planned about how I got to this place of enlightenment or spirituality, or at least finding the path to begin with. And a lot of that was, at some point, my frustration just kind of became this fuel. And then I realized I got frustrated here trying to make that video. It was going okay. It was like, okay, but I'm like, I'm just not happy with it. Why am I not happy with it? Am I going to be happy with anything? And then again, maybe the point is not just to be happy, but just to do it. And how long is this? And this camera's dying. But this was good. This was good, and I'm going to keep this shit up, and I'm probably going to do more of these one-off videos of me just kind of running and going for it. Because the things that come out, again, you know, if we want to come back to that method acting video, the record of my failures being a metaphor for not being scripted and just going with it. And then that negative shape, again, becomes the shape of what I am trying to do. And it feels good. And I'm not sorry for myself like I used to be. I don't think I could ever get back there. And yeah, we're not alone. In a sense, we're the only thing that exists, so we are infinitely alone. But it's the most beautiful view. It's the most beautiful alone that could possibly exist, because it's freeing. Nothing's personal. And realizing, and that's another thing too, realizing nothing is personal for yourself when you're beating yourself up. Once you kind of catch yourself doing that and you're like, do I hate myself? I'm like, I don't know if I hate myself per se. I certainly get frustrated with things. Is that being frustrated with myself? And then once you start to ask yourself these questions and change the language that you are using with yourself and redefining these words for yourself, it's just a little bit at a time, you know? You just gotta, just a little bit at a time. Life is like this thing where if you push up here, you're kind of, there's this force that goes down over here. And it's just like, it's like whack-a-mole, and you can't really wrap your head around it. And so what you need to kind of do is lift the entire thing slowly at once and slowly tune yourself into that. Yeah, this was good. I was happy. All right, I'm feeling good that I got this much done. Because largely what I wanted to do was just create content. I wasn't really, I didn't have any idea for what I wanted to do. I mean, I had an idea, but I just wanted to do. I just wanted to be in the state of doing. I didn't want to have to worry about scripting it. I didn't want to have to worry about if this fan is too loud or if I lose my train of thought. But it's whatever. But we're good. We're good. So, yeah. I can easily tell you guys to stop feeling sorry for yourselves, because I'm really telling myself that as well, and I know that people probably do and get frustrated with themselves, and it's understanding. But bring it back to that self-awareness, that narrative of what you're telling yourself, your self-talk, how you are bringing yourself out of these situations. Because these habits that you're forming, a while ago when I started to really get into the idea that the neurons that are fired together are wired together. The things you're doing at the same time are reinforcing themselves. And again, breaking cycles. What do I have to do to break the cycle of that? To finally be relatively free. And I think I'm getting there. I feel more on the ball than I feel like I've probably ever felt before. And yeah. Thank you. Thank you all for sticking around. I love you all. I will be back soon. I hope you're all doing well.